In this video, I am going to discuss with you the convoy effect in FCFS scheduling. So, for that I am given two cases here. Okay. So, what is FCFS? So, first come first served means the process which arrived first at the ready state will be picked by the operating system and it assigned to the CPU at first. Okay, that is called FCFS scheduling. So, the drawback of this FCFS scheduling is convoy effect. So, in this lecture I will discuss with you what is that convoy effect. So, first of all, see this example. There are two cases I have given. On the basis of this, with the help of this FCFS scheduling, I am solving this numericals. So, look at this first case. I am going to solve this numericals based on the FCFS scheduling. So, here are three processes are here. We have three processes and the arrival time of each processor are given. Okay. So, burst time are given. So, what is in the previous lecture I have already told you what is the burst time, the executing time of a process, how much time a process is executing spent in CPU, that is called burst time. So, arrival time means at the time when the process arrived at the ready state. Okay. So, the arrival time of each processes are given, that is 0, 1, 1 and the burst time are 50, 1 and 2. So, for that we have to draw our Gantt chart. So, the assumption is time would be starting from the 0 millisecond. Okay. Our time starts from 0 millisecond. So, look, at the time 0, is there any process that arrived in the ready state? Look at this. Yes, we have P1, that is the arrival time of the P1 is 0. So, we have to assign that P1, we have to allocate P1 to the CPU. So, CPU would be allocated to P1. For how much time? Look at the burst time. The burst time of the P1 is 50. So, for 50 millisecond it would be allocated to the CPU, it would be assigned to the CPU for 50 millisecond. Okay. So, look, at the time 50 millisecond, at the time 50, is there any process, another process that have been arrived at the ready state? Yes, we have two process that has been arrived yet, that has been arrived at the ready state. So, the process are P2 and P3. We have two process P2, P3 which are arrived at the time 1. Here are the same cases. In that cases, we are going through the order of writing the process. So, here there is a tie, P2 and P3 both are arrived at the time 1 and 1. So, we have to write, we have to assign the process on the order of writing the process. So, first P2 is written before the P3. So, we have to assign P2 to the CPU. For how much time? For the time, the burst time of the P2 is 1. So, P2 will be arrived, P2 will be allocated to the CPU for 1 millisecond. So, 51 and finally rest process is P3. So, CPU would be allocated to the P3 for 2 millisecond, 51, 52, 53. So, the completion time is 53. Let us find out the turnaround time, waiting time, okay, and let us find out the average waiting time of this case 1. So, what is the first of all, just find out turnaround time. So, turnaround time means completion time minus arrival time. Okay. What is for P1? See, for P1, what is the completion time? At time 50, P1 has been terminated. So, the completion time of the P1 is 50. What is the arrival time of P1? That is 0. 50 minus 0, that is 50. Next, for P2, what is the completion time? 51. So, the arrival time of the P2 is 1. 51 minus 1, that is 50. What is the completion time of P3? That is 53. At the time 53, finally the CPU has been overed and complete its execution, and P3 is terminated at the time 53. So, what is the turnaround time? Completion time minus arrival time, that is 52. Let us find out the waiting time. So, what is the waiting time? What is the waiting time? Turnaround time minus burst time. Okay, that is the waiting time. So, for P1, what is the waiting time? 50 minus 50, that is 0. 50 minus 1, that is 49. 52 minus 2, that is 50. Let us find out the average waiting time, sum of this waiting time divided by the number of processes. What is the addition of this waiting time? 99 divided by the number of process by 3, that is 33. This is the average waiting time for this scenario of case 1. So, let us go to the second scenario, that is case 2. In this case, the burst time has been same as the case 1. The burst time has same, but in this case 2, the arrival time has been changed. So, P2, P3 has arrived at the first time. The P2 of the arrival time of the P2 and P3 are less. Okay, arrival time is small as compared to the case 1. So, what happened? Let us see. Let us try to draw the Gantt chart. Okay. Assumption is the time should be starts from 0 as always. So, at the 0 millisecond, we have two processes arrived at the 0 millisecond. So, we have to allocate the first process. We have to go through order of writing the process. So, there is a tie. So, we have to allocate CPU would be allocate the first process, that is P2. For how much time? Time 1. The burst time of the P2 is 1, right now. So, next is P3. We have two more processes at the time 1 millisecond. Is there any process that that has been arrived at the ready state? Yes, we have P1 and P3. P2 has been completed. P2 terminate at the 1 millisecond. So, P1 and P3, rest are P1 and P3. Which process to be allocated to the CPU? So, first is P3, that is the criteria of first come first serve is what? Which process arrived at the ready state first will be allocated, will be assigned to the CPU first. So, in this case P3 would be allocated to the CPU next. At 0 millisecond P3 has been arrived. So, P3 would be allocated. For how many time? Burst time is 2, that is 3, and rest final process is P1. What is the burst time of the P1? That is 50. So, P1 is executing in CPU for 53 milliseconds. Okay. So, the completion time, the CPU has been completes its execution at the time 53. So, P1 is terminated at 53. So, let us now find out the turnaround time and the average waiting time. In this scenario, what is the turnaround time? So, completion time minus arrival time. For P1, what is the completion time? That is 53. What is the arrival time? That is, that is 1. So, what is the turnaround time? 53 minus 1, that is 52. For P2, 1 minus 0, that is 1. For P3, 3 minus 0, that is 3. Okay. Let us find out the waiting time. Waiting time means turnaround time minus burst time. So 52 minus 50, that is 2, 1 minus 1, that is 0, 3 minus 2, that is 1. So average waiting time would be sum of waiting time divided by number of processes, that is 3. 3 minus 3, that is 1. So in this case 2, in this scenario, the average waiting time is 1 millisecond, whereas in this previous scenario, case 1, the average waiting time is 33. So what is the assumption? Why this case is happening? Why there is the less average, why in case 2 there is less waiting time, less average waiting time, and in case 1 why there is higher average waiting time? So the problem is that the process that is arrived in the ready state, the criteria of the FCFS is, it does not mean which process has been higher burst time or which process has been lower burst time. The criteria is which process is reached at the ready state first will be assigned to the process at first. But in that case, this is happening for the process which is having higher burst time is assigned to the CPU before the shortest burst time. Because of that, the process which is having shortest burst time has to wait for the long time. Here in this case, see P1. P1 is the highest burst time among all those processes, P1, P2, P3, all those processes, P1 is having higher burst time. And if we apply FCFS in that cases, so P1 is first allocated to the CPU, and for that reason P2 and P3, which is having lesser burst time as compared to P1, they have to wait for 50 millisecond for the execution. So the process is having higher burst time is if the process is having higher burst time, long burst time is executing first than the small burst time, than the small processes, then the average waiting time would be higher. Okay. And in the case 2, see at the case 2, here we have assigned the process which arrived first having the shorter burst time as compared to the long burst time. The higher burst time, the process is having higher burst time is executing at last. So if the shortest burst time is having, the process is having shortest burst time is executing first than that of the higher burst time, then the average waiting time should be less. Okay. So that is called the convoy effect. What is the convoy effect? If the process is having shortest burst time, have to wait for the long time for the process which is running at the CPU, and the burst time of that process is very high, then that case is called the convoy effect. See, one more thing is, this is not starvation. Convoy effect and starvation both are different things. Okay, we cannot say that this case is starvation. If a process is waiting for a long time for the execution for that process, we cannot say that is a starvation. You have gone to, let's say you have gone to the supermarket or mall. Okay, at the counterpart here, what is the convoy effect actually? At the counterpart where the billing is done, okay, and you have bought two or three things only. Okay, in the mall you have bought 2 or 3 things only, and you are standing here for billing. Okay, but there is a person, here is you are standing here, but there is a person ahead of you, in front of you, which is having 2 trolleys full of substance, full of things. Okay. So in this scenario, what will be done? So the billing of the first person should be done first, because this is the FCFS cases. I am saying the FCFS, first come first serve scheduling. Okay. So in this case, what will counter boy do? It will billing the first person which is having fulls of things, having 2 trolleys, but you have bought 2 things only, 2 or 3 things only. So for that person you have to wait for long amount of time. So that is called the convoy effect. That is called the convoy effect. Starvation is what? Starvation is little more difference from the convoy effect actually. In starvation, in convoy effect, counter boy is not biased. The rule is जो पहले आएगा उसका बिलिंग पहले होगा. So that is the convoy effect. Okay. In starvation, starvation में क्या होता है? Here is the counterpart. Here is the counter boy. You are standing here having 2 or 3 things only. You have bought 2 things, and ahead of you there is person, same person. There is same person having fulls of things, 2 trolleys having fulls of things, and after the billing of that person, there is another boy. You should go after that. After the billing of that person, what should be done? You have to go after that. But at that moment, there is another person come, another person interfere before you, which is known to that counter boy, which is friend of that counter boy. So obviously counter boy is biased, counter boy is billing of that person. Then after that person, you should go, but at that moment another person again interfere, which is VIP person. So obviously VIP person is having higher priority than you. So in that case you have to wait again, and after the VIP person, after the billing of the VIP person, again another boy is come, and which is having which is known to that counter boy. Okay. So in that case you have to wait indefinite time, a long time. This is called starvation. Okay. So in priority cases, in convoy effect, in case of first come first serve, this is non-preemption. In non-preemption cases, the drawback is convoy effect, but in preemptive cases there is a priority. Here it does not matter. Here the case is the counter boy, the CPU. Let us say the counter boy is the CPU and here are the processes, but the CPU is allocate that processes not for the higher burst time, not for the higher amount of higher process, but for the priority. Okay, the higher priority than you. For that reason there may be starvation. So convoy effect and starvation both are different things. Next, another thing is there is some advantage of first come first serve FCFS scheduling. It is very easy to implement. It is very easy to understand also, and actually the drawback of the FCFS scheduling is basically convoy effect. Okay. So overcome this drawback, we have some another algorithm that is called shortest job first or shortest job next, SJF. To overcome this convoy effect, what we have to do? We have to execute, we have to allocate the process which is having shorter burst time first, which is executing. If a process is executing in the CPU which is having higher burst time, and any process has come to the ready state which is lower burst time as compared to the process which is running at the CPU, then we can remove that process and we can allocate the shorter burst time to the CPU and get the process which is higher burst time to wait for some time, which is having higher burst time, it has to wait for the termination of the process which is having shorter burst time. So, that is the funda of SJF. So, to overcome this convoy effect, we have some algorithm that is called shortest job first or shortest job next. After the FCFS, we have some another algorithm that is SJF, which is called shortest job first or shortest job next. Or so what is that? In this algorithm, in this case, among the available process which are waiting, which are allocate in the ready state, the CPU would be allocate to that process which is having shortest burst time next to the execute next. Okay. So, among all of the processes which are in waiting state, which are in ready state, CPU scheduler choose the process which is having the shortest burst time to execute next. So, if in that cases two processes are arrived having same burst time, then what happened? At that time we would be go through the FCFS scheduling. Okay. If the process is having the same burst time, then we would go through the FCFS process, the order of writing the processes. Okay. So, the SJF is of two types. Okay. First is preemptive, next is non-preemptive. So, what is non-preemptive and what is preemptive? Preemptive means if the process is running at the CPU, if a process is executing at the CPU, then the scheduler, then the operating system forcefully remove that CPU in the basis of time quantum or on the basis of any priority. Okay. And allocate the other process is having shortest burst time or any time quantum matter. Okay. So, that is the preemptive cases. In the preemptive cases, the process preempt from the CPU forcefully and allocate to the other process which is having higher priority than the running process. Okay. In non-preemptive, already we have discussed non-preemptive in FCFS. So, FCFS is basically non-preemptive. Okay. So, non-preemption means a process which is running at the CPU, we cannot forcefully remove that process, okay, till its execution, till its completion or termination. So, that is called non-preemptive. So, SJF is of two types, preemptive and non-preemptive. The preemption criteria of the SJF is also called SRTF, or which is called shortest remaining time first or shortest remaining time next. Okay. See, in exam they ask you, if you asked a question, if they specify a question, solve the problem using simply SJF algorithm, then by default you have to solve the algorithm, solve the question by non-preemptive method. Okay. There is two method, preemptive and non-preemptive. So, preemptive means that is SRTF. If they specify, if in exam if they specified the question, solve the problem using SJF with preemptive, then you have to done that question using SRTF, preemption method. And if they don't specify anything, if they simply say that solve the question using SJF, then by default you just solve that question using non-preemptive method. Okay, fine. So in the next video I will discuss the SJF with non-preemption criteria, and after that we will discuss preemption SRTF method. Okay, till then, bye bye, take care.